What up, everyone? It's your man Xmanny87 here, bringing you another G.I. Joe Classified video, and what I have for you today is the G.I. Joe Classified series Outback action figure review. Before we get into everything, if you could please leave a thumbs up, like rating on the video, it'll help show your support for my channel, and I greatly appreciate it. Now, with that said, let's go! Outback's real name is Stuart R. Selkirk, and he was born in Big Piney, Wyoming. He is an E5 sergeant with primary specialty of infantry and second as survival instructor. Outback graduated from Ranger School, Survivor School, and Jungle Warfare. He later went back and was an instructor at all three. He lives by the Survival Ranger code of live with your environment, not against it. Outback is a member of the G.I. Joe team and is their survival expert. Taking a close look at Outback's head sculpt, and I have a lot of problems with this head sculpt. I think the shape of the head sculpt came out really nice, but it's the paint that ruins it completely for me. Why is he looking off to the side? Look at his eyes. He looks like a goddamn McFarlane figure, looking off to the side like that. Then in this left eyebrow here, I got paint bleeds that just creeped over to his nose and right above his eye right there too. And some of the blue on his eye is bleeding over to the flesh tone as well, and that sucks. And then look at this, the headband is not fully painted in green. As you can see, you get some of his hair color there, some skin tone there. I mean, for $24.99, how can they screw up this badly? How can Hasbro raise prices and still screw up paint this badly? The paint on his hair is fine. He's a darker, much darker tone at the top, and it's lighter on the bottom. I don't know if I like that. Yeah, at the top of his hair looks brown. It should be red, like his beard, and like his hair right there on the lower end. And more paint bleeds from the hair onto the headband right there. As you see, it's not fully painted green. So yeah, I mean, I spent my money on this, so as a consumer, I am mad right here. And looking at his body sculpt here, it's a really nice physique. I like how big his obliques are. His arms are ripped up. He's got veins and stuff in them. I actually like how the hair is sculpted there too on the forearms, but I do not like those elbows. They look ashy as hell. The skin tone is completely off. They used a completely different piece of plastic for the elbows, and it just didn't come off well. The sleeves on the shirt are a little off tone, more of a yellowish, but that doesn't bother me. It could pass off as sweat. So here's the rest of the shirt. You got his survival written on his shirt, and the paint is not clean here either. You can see that V is a little splotchy there. So maybe it's just my copy that I got hit hard with paint issues, but I have read around the community boards and all that there is a common issue with this Outback having some paint issues, which is why I'm hearing the Tiger Force version is the superior version. And I didn't want that version just because I want to stick to the regular outfits, but I missed out on it when it was on a crazy deal at Target. So, you know, next time I see it up, I will definitely jump on it. You got this harness strap with the pouches right there as a new layer. That's nice. I like that. I think these are newly sculpted gloves, and yay, he has a hand. Reason I'm saying yay is because my Outback figure as a kid had a burnt hand, so I couldn't even have him carry any weapons there. I still to this day don't remember how he got burnt. Knowing me as a kid, I had my toys laid out everywhere, so I probably had him near a stove or something. I don't remember, but he was still one of my favorite figures as a kid, so I'm happy to have this modern take on this classic character. It just sucks with the paint apps. Then you got his legs with some camo deco. These are reused from, well, we've seen these on Dusty and Stalker previously, I believe. Then these legs are reused. We've seen them previously on the recent Dusty and Stalker, I believe. We get a nice camo deco to it, so that looks pretty cool. We get some new layer pieces, like this holster for his sidearm, and then another one for another accessory. I think these knee pads are newly sculpted as well. And his boots are looking good. You got his sheath right there for his knife. How you feel about these sheaths being as layers? Would you prefer them sculpted onto the boot? I think I would like them just sculpted onto the boot because I don't have to worry about any kind of shifting or anything like that. I mean, this is good for kit bashing if you want to put it on another character with a different kind of boot. But for me, I don't like to be annoyed when I'm moving the figure in articulation and something moves and I gotta adjust it, especially if I'm doing photography and I have a careful pose that I don't want to ruin. But that's just a me thing. And then here are the bottom of the feet. Now for accessories, he comes with his knife, which is nicely painted in a metallic silver. And you could just store that easily onto his sheath. And he's got a vintage military flashlight, which looks really cool. And you could put that into his thigh strap right there. Then he has a sidearm here, which looks really good. He has a port so you could plug in muzzle effects. I don't understand why they gave him taping around the handle for this gun, just because he has gloves. And isn't this meant for gripping purposes? I mean, if you have gloves, that's enough grip as is. Doesn't make any sense to me. But if I have any military expert viewers, please feel free to educate me. Maybe there's more of a reasoning behind it that I don't know about. And then you could just store it onto his holster. You have his backpack, and you also have a shovel. There's a slot in there that you could just plug that onto the peg right there for extra storage. And you could plug it onto the back. I would assume they made this slot for the harness to plug through the back so that it looks all together, and sometimes I have a hard time plugging all that through to get through the harness onto the back of the figure. And so far it's staying nice and put, but yeah, hopefully I said that correctly because lack of sleep. But just in case it bothers you, you could just skip this harness and just plug it straight through his back. It's not going to affect the look on the figure by no means. And lastly, he comes with this SMG style with a scope on it. And can someone let me know the name of this particular SMG that has the kind of handle right there and doesn't have like that extended buttstock? I'd like to know. And it's a really nice sculpt, I gotta say. You got this extended round right here that's removable. And you get this strap right here that's made out of a very hard plastic. I wish it was pliable because it is not flexible to move around, especially when it comes to, you know, posing and making it fit in his hand. It's just, it gets in the way and it's kind of annoying. But it also has a port there if you want to plug in a muzzle effect. But what you could do with this is hook it around his arm, and then where the trigger would be, you could just plug it into that peg onto the backpack right there. And here is Outback fully equipped with all the accessories on him. I do wish that there was a spot for the clip. I wish he had like an extra pouch or something that you could just store it in, because right here it would just pop off against his arm, so I don't have it there. But you know, I just plugged the SMG right there so it looks like the strap is around his arm, just to make it look a little more natural. I don't know, I feel like they could have done a better job with the strap. It doesn't bother me completely, but I just feel like there was a better way around it. So let's go over articulation real quick for Outback. He's on a double ball peg, so his neck moves about that far up and that far down, left, right. He does pivot real nice and it rocks around. You got his arms that move higher than a straight T-pose. They move down. You can swing them around. He's got butterfly joints that move that far in and that far out. Bicep swivel. You got the double jointed pinless elbows. Good range there. Wrist swivel. Trigger. Vertical hinge right here for this left hand. You got the traditional horizontal hinge for the right. You get an ab crunch at the upper torso and a ball jointed waist, so he's going to move about that far down and that far back. He's got a waist swivel. He pivots real nicely. He pivots side to side like that, and you can rock that around. Drop down leg mechanics, and his legs can split about that far apart. He can kick up pretty high, kick that far back. His legs can rock around. You got the thigh swivel. Double jointed knees, and oh, no heel to the Outback butt. This does shift out of place. Come on, go back into place. All right, stay there. Boot swivel. You got the ankles that move up that far. They move down that low, and they pivot around. Now for some comparisons, here he is next to some cool releases recently, like Tiger Force Duke and Spirit. Here he is next to some of the females in the line, like Lady J and Scarlet. Definitely need a new Scarlet with double jointed elbows. Here he is next to some larger characters in the line, like Sergeant Slaughter and Roadblock. Lastly, here he is next to some enemies to pit him against, the Python Patrol Officer and Bat. And now to wrap things up, my final rating for Outback is a 7.5 out of 10. This figure could have been at least a 9 for me, but the piss poor paint mishap severely holds it back The head sculpt is clearly amazing as he has that rugged look of the character, but the cosmetics didn't follow through. I'm just going off my copy. I did order my replacement from Amazon, so if that one is perfect, then surely the score will bump up. So in the meantime, it's a reserved 7.5 out of 10 score. That still doesn't take away the fact that there are some other cosmetic issues, such as the off plastic color tones at the elbows, then some design choices that left me scratching my head. I don't like the shovel having a big ass hole in it. That sort of thing should be solid throughout, and the backpack should have had some sort of secure socket to lock it in place for storage. That way we're not sacrificing the sculpt of the shovel. Other than that, I think aesthetically he looks good and is well built in pinless treatment and well proportioned. The articulation is solid as hell. I love posing this figure around. He has about 6 or 7 accessories in total, which is acceptable. Lots of homage paid within those accessories from his vintage 80s figure. Overall, it's still a good figure, just held back by some flaws. They may release an updated version of this, like on a retro card or something, to hopefully right some of the wrongs on this one. I could see that happening. I may go and cop that Tiger Force version. I'd love to see a Night Force Outback version too. Anyways, not much more else for me to say. I said what I wanted to say. At the end of the day, it's a nice modern take on a classic. Now I kick it back to you. What do you think of this Outback figure? If you have it, did you run into any issues? What other G.I. Joe character or G.I. Joe teams would you like to see next in the classified line? Comment below, let me know, we'll chat about it. That was my review. Please follow me on Instagram if you haven't already at xman87. Hit the notification bell so you always know when my latest videos are up. Share and subscribe if you're new. See you on the next video. Peace, peace.